Washington now has the smoking gun. The Islamic Republic didn't back down. They killed more. Israeli intelligence says executions surged with over 30,000 dead. And at Davos, Trump says the Gaza war is basically over. But Kushner admits Hamas could still be standing. Is this the new Gaza or the same old rubbish? We are unpacking it all only on JNS, only on the Quad. Welcome back, everybody, to the Quad from our Jerusalem studios with my wonderful co-host, Shoshana Keats-Jaskol, founder of Chokhmat Nashim, Elevating Orthodox Women's Voices, Bellamy Bellucci, activist and dancer and singer and model, all of that. And our wonderful Ruthie Bloom, who comes every time we ask her to. Ruthie Bloom, senior contributing editor here in JNS and a veteran journalist for many, many years. Welcome, ladies. What is going on this week and every week? It feels to me that every Thursday night, or maybe Wednesday night, we're going to bed thinking, maybe tonight's the night. Maybe tonight's the night. Maybe this is the night when the United States are going to bring down the Islamic regime and the people of Iran can finally be free. And every night, the Israeli public is ready for it. Yeah. Where, we've got our shelters ready because we know that the backlash could come on us. And as we all know, the attack or the so-called attack that was going to happen was stopped because Trump got some message saying the executions have stopped. And yet, what we see is more carnage, more massacres, and now the Israeli intelligence has revealed that, in fact, the executions have actually accelerated. They haven't slowed down. They're killing women. They're killing children. That the supreme leader, Khamenei, is given an order to just kill. Watch this.
مریم اصلا یه چیزی بهت بگم باورت نمیشه. یکی از بچه ها میگفت تو سردخونه صدای ناله میاد، حتی باز نمیکنن. معلوم نیست اون زیر بچه ها چجوری دارن بال میزن. میگه صدای ناله میاد، حتی باز نمیکنن، رسیدگی کنن. ببین چقدر جوونمون تیر خوردن ولی همونجوری ول کردن اونجا. اصلا مریم نمیدونم چجوری صدامو به کجا برسونم. حالمون خیلی بده. جوونای دست گلمون اونجا. اصلا ببین من پی همه چیو زدم به تنم رصدم کنن. هر گویی میخوام بخورم. مگه میشه؟ مگه داریم اینقدر ظلم؟
I mean, this is what's happening. People are being put into body bags that are alive. They're being shot from outside the body bags. They don't care if they're alive or dead. And meanwhile, the world is silent. Iran International and Time magazine are saying that the deaths could be up to 36,000. I think it could possibly be much more. And there may be use of chemical weapons. Of course, we know grenades, children being killed. It seems like nobody cares. I was at a rally on Saturday night here in Israel, and it was only Iranian Israelis. Like, where is everyone? Ruthie, you're somebody who's been talking about Iran for years. Does this surprise you that the world's gone to sleep while these people are being massacred in the street? And do you actually think that America is going to step up and attack? What do you think?
Okay, I'll tell you what surprises me. It surprises me that it's been more than 2 weeks since President Trump said, keep going to the Iranians, keep going, help is on the way. And they risked their lives. They're dying all over the place. They're being slaughtered, blinded. This we also know from reports. Despite the closure of the internet, there are, here and there, the internet comes back on through Starlink, and we have a lot of information. And I want to tell you what is just really shocking in this day and age. It's one thing we used to say about the Holocaust, and I'm bringing the Holocaust up because today is the 26th of January. Tomorrow is Holocaust Remembrance Day. And though I really hate to compare anything to the Holocaust, here we have something unfolding under our very eyes, unlike during the Holocaust, when we didn't have social media and even a newspaper, it would take it 24 hours to even go to print, and there was very little news coming out of there. We know what's going on, and still nothing is happening. Now, part of that is because we have all kinds of anonymous officials telling the New York Times, or not telling the New York Times, who knows, because the New York Times lies also, that this is because Israel requested of the U.S. administration to hold off on the strike because we're not ready. You mentioned that Israelis are all ready. Yes, we go to bed at night and we all make there's a lot of black humor. Are you know, put your shoes next to the bed, blah, 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 and we make jokes about it, or is it happening tonight? But the fact is Israel not ready in terms of the ability to intercept the missiles? I don't know. We hear contradictory reports, and I think it's awful. It has to be done soon, yesterday.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And like you say, this is a massacre unfolding, Holocaust unfolding. Then you had a fake genocide that they trumped up in Gaza that didn't exist. And then the real one, and nobody cares. Although last night in London, there was 100,000 people on the streets. So I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe people are beginning to care, Shoshana?
I think it's very simple. It's not an issue of caring. I think people care about what they want to care about when it suits their agenda, right? So you have the Syrian army literally raping and slaughtering Kurdish women, ripping off their hair. And I have a visceral reaction to disembodied hair. I went to Auschwitz, and, you know, we're a grandchild of Holocaust survivors. And when you see that disembodied hair, for me, I can't even look when people like donate their hair.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me. And these videos of these fighters, terrorists, monsters, barbarians, holding up braids, you know what they've done to these women. You know, we see there's videos of them slitting their throats, beating. It's horrifying. And where is anyone? Where is anyone? So you're talking about slaughter of people in Iran.
Yeah.
And you could say, oh, you didn't see the videos. Well, you didn't see the videos of them beating on Kurdish women. It's a lie. It's a lie. They don't care because it doesn't suit their agenda, and because, frankly, they would have to admit that the problems in the Middle East are not because of Israel.
Yeah. I think that's...
It's a whole stack of cards.
I think that's the main thing, that they would have to change the fact that the Islamists are the oppressors. Yeah, Boker Tov, surprise, surprise, they are the oppressors everywhere.
That's the common thread with everything.
In Kurdistan, Syria, in Iran. That is what the world is still not prepared to admit. Their streets are being taken over. In America, the Islamists and the mindset is pillaging states, and yet nobody is actually connecting the dots, or they don't want to.
They don't want to. And I heard, by the way, not to just, you know, maybe it's true that Israel isn't ready, but I've also heard that Qatar and Saudi Arabia are pressuring Trump not to strike.
Saudi Arabia especially.
Not strike, because they don't want an independent Iran. They don't want regime change. They don't want their people to see that, oh, maybe we could also be a democracy. So I would be careful before blaming just Israel, because Qatar, I mean, who gave Trump the plane? Remind me who gave Trump an airplane? Remind me who's got billions of dollars invested in the United States of America and the UK? Remind me.
The world, I think, is not just about freedom. I think with Saudi, it's about oil. If you have a free Iran, they've got billions and billions of dollars in crude oil, then oil might go down. Oil might go down, and that might affect Saudis. Bellamy, you are exposed to hypocrisy every single day, especially when you lived in New York. Does it surprise you?
No, not at all. I'm not surprised at all. What I think is more telling is that a real genocide, as you said, that word, the term genocide, the regime is currently performing a genocide on its own people. Its own people. It's not coming from the outside. The call is coming from within.
Yeah.
And when we look at what happened with Hamas, and we try to explain to the world, listen, they're a terrorist entity that was voted in, allegedly, if we want to say that, you know, it's a democracy. They
voted once.
Voted in and ushered in a system that is constantly going to work against them, right? So you look at the internet blackout. Their main goal, that's just a starting point. What they actually want is not just to isolate Iran and the people completely from the outside. They're going at it full on North Korea style. You don't see anything from you will get nothing from the outside, because that's the only way that they're actually going to keep control. So when you have to explain this to somebody that's already so brainwashed, you know, sitting on the Upper East Side with their blue hair at Columbia University saying, Antifada revolution, it goes right past them, because they've been sold on a narrative that has been at work for so long.
Yeah.
That this whole regime and this jihadi mentality and everything. The best thing about this is that you don't have to do anything. You don't even have to assimilate. You just have to go to the West. Live your life as it is. And when it's time for you to be activated, you will be activated. And we're seeing it happen everywhere around the world. And the scariest part is Americans did not heed the warning before.
Well, they didn't look at Europe and see what's going on. I mean, Trump, to be fair, is saying we don't want to become Europe. I just want to say one more thing about the Iranian massacre, is that the reports are that that Iranian IRGC or soldiers are actually feeling a little bad about killing their compatriots, and so they're importing in
mercenaries,
mercenaries, Iraqi Shias, and other mercenaries to kill Iranians, because maybe somebody grew a conscience and they don't want to massacre their own people. This is horrific.
I saw a little.
This is horrific. This is a Holocaust, like you're saying, Ruthie.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you know, something else. You mentioned Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Here's the big problem. Trump is problematic because on the one hand, he's really the best friend Israel's ever had in the White House. And not just Israel, his whole board of peace, and I hate that title, by the way, because peace is really, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
You know, when I always say when apples grow on cherry trees. But having said that, he is trying to replace or have a separate UN, which is also very important. He's doing very important things. And next to that, doing insane things. Now, what we do know, though, is within his administration, half of them or most of them are for a strike on Iran. And we have Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner among those who are against it. And we know they have interest in Qatar. But I would also like to say, and I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu and to President Trump, stop fantasizing about MBS and Saudi Arabia modernizing and all that. We applauded, oh, he gave women the right to drive. And we were fawning all over MBS like he's some man. And I'll tell you something, it is true that he is educated and everything. Those are the most dangerous ones, the ones who know the West really well and smile. And there's Trump also with Ashara from Syria. You mentioned Syria, spritzing him with perfume. That's like putting lipstick on a pig if I ever saw it. Saying, you know, oh, you're a handsome guy, or and other things. We have to be really careful about getting, you know, the Brits used to all in the past always be enamored of the Arab world. They were sort of very patronistic, you know, like, oh, these cute Arabs, they're so exotic. We have to stop that crap already, because all over the world, the Islamists are killing people. And all the West can do is say, be careful of Islamophobia.
Yes, that's the reaction for everything. And, you know, you touched on Saudi Arabia, and I'm actually very worried. And only in the last few weeks, they basically turned against Israel and the West. They've now opened up two fronts against the UAE, and which is much more significant of anything, Al Arabiya, which has always been for the last few years trying to be neutral, trying to be step away from Al Jazeera, is now taking an editorial turn, which is actually very concerning. And so all these Jews and all these Israelis that were so excited about Saudi Arabia, I think things are not turning in the right direction with MBS. And I think he's made a decision maybe to turn away. I don't know what America can pull, but Ruthie, you mentioned our next subject, which is Gaza. Are we post-war Gaza? So Israel announced today that we're going to open the Philadelphia route, which is basically the border between Israel and Egypt, to human traffic. And on the one hand, you could say, well, you know, that's letting people leave. On the other hand, you could say, well, that's letting terrorists come back in. And that is really the fear. And are we at stage 2, more significantly, without the disarming of Hamas. And then you look at what's happening in Davos, where basically they're saying the war is over, we're going to build Singapore in Gaza. Now, I want to make it very clear that we would all love that. And that was the aspiration when we left, when Israel left in 2005. They could have built Singapore. They could have built Dubai. And instead, they made it into a terrorist hellhole. But there is still, in Davos, there's still a lot of hope that perhaps we could have a new Gaza. Watch this.
I think the combination of the Board of Peace with the kind of people we have here, coupled with the United Nations, can be something very, very unique for the world. It's for the world. This isn't United States. This is for the world. As everyone can see today, the first steps toward a brighter day for the Middle East and a much safer future for the world are unfolding right before your very eyes. And of course, the war in Gaza, which is really coming to an end. We have little fires that were put out, but they were giant, massive fires, and now they're down to little fires, so we can put them out very easily. We have 59 countries that are involved in peace in the Middle East.
And this is what Kushner had to say.
I see a lot of people trying to escalate, criticizing Israel or Israelis criticizing Turkey or Qatar. Just calm down for 30 days. I think that the war is over. Let's do our best to try working together. Our goal here is peace between Israel and the Palestinian people. Everyone wants to live peacefully. Everyone wants to live with dignity. Let's put our efforts towards promoting those who are doing the work to build this up, like Ali and his committee. Let's focus on the positive stories, and let's just calm down, turn a new chapter. And if we believe that peace is possible, then peace really can be possible.
Oh, we are sick.
Literally what we were saying. Everyone wants to live in peace. Everyone wants to live in dignity.
And the sun identifies as the moon.
Yes.
We all on Tuesday.
Identified.
Oh my.
All right. Look, on the one hand, like you said, Ruthie, he's trying to create an alternative UN. And that is a good thing because the UN, as we know, have not just been useless, they've been damaging. They've made things worse. They're in bed with the terrorists. They've been completely impotent in Lebanon. They did not even warn Israel that Hezbollah was moving south of the Litani. So they're damaging. And he's kind of trying to get them out of the picture, which is a good thing. But you have the Qatari foreign minister and this board of peace. Are we joking? They are the arsonists of the region. However, maybe that's a feature and not a bug. The fact that you bring these people in so that they're committed to peace, and they're not the executive board of rebuilding Gaza, they're kind of the symbolic board. There's a few boards here. And as you kind of grunted earlier, one woman in this whole story, yes, not a great start when there's one woman in the three boards of peace. So you've got the executive board, which, as we know in companies, you've got the executive and then you've got the symbolic board. I mean, does this have a chance in hell of working? What do you think, Bellamy?
I think it's great posturing starting off, but I think that's all it is right now. It's posturing. I love the fact that it's for him, it's an alternative of the United Nations because that had to have left ages ago. They've done nothing. You look at the continent of Africa, it's worse off now than it was before. And as something that I think was a beacon of hope before, what you would look into and say, okay, this will be the school teacher with the stick going, no, 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 no. They've just opened doors to hell. But the Board of Peace right now, my question is, as you said, that really makes me anxious is, why are you letting certain people in? And again, symbolic as an advisory board or whatever, that's lovely because you're starting to push the needle in the direction of saying, actually, there is an alternative. You're not it.
Yeah.
But is it going to go anywhere right now? No. I don't think that it is. It's just posture.
Well, I just don't know who's going to disarm Hamas. In the end, it's going to be IDF soldiers, isn't it?
The problem is what Trump is doing is he's using his own mindset, his own values to say, if they have enough motivation and if they have enough gain, if they have enough
financial incentives
and what is it called? When you're popular, cool. He's using his own set of values and a Western set of values, but that ain't what Turkey's looking for, and it's not what Qatar's looking for, and it's not. So my worry or my reality check is they're not thinking the same way you're thinking. So you're going to put them on the board, and you think they're going to come on and they're going to say, yeah, let's make Gaza the Riviera. And that's not what they want. So I don't know how far it can go before it falls apart.
Well, yes, but we could say, just to counter-argue that, that we got all our living hostages home
Right.
thanks to that kind of relationship they've developed with Qatar. Is that not so, Ruthie?
Well, it is, but then, you know, you bring in the scorpion and then he kills you, okay? It's true, okay? This is a very complicated situation.
Yes.
And we all legitimize Qatar in that sense. Even the Israeli government, while not doing it, not legitimizing Qatar, but saying we may have no choice. And the same thing goes for Egypt. Israel has a peace treaty with Egypt for decades, but Egypt was complicit in all the materials that went into Gaza to build the tunnels and in the terrorism. So, you know, Egypt is another problem. But what the reason, first of all, yes, if anybody has to disarm Hamas, it will have to be Israel. Nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else can do it. By the way, the UN, it's not just that it was damaging. All its institutions were actually, many were actually participants in terrorism around the world. And so there are very good things like the United States pulling out of the World Health Organization, which has done lots of damage, etc. And those things are positive developments. But as you pointed out, Shoshana, that mindset is exactly what got Israel into October 7th.
Yes.
You do not, jihadists and radical Islamists do not care about work permits and a better life.
Yes.
Gaza had a better life. Gaza had, every time there was a problem, billions of dollars, shekels, and euros went into the strip for rehabilitation. Every Gazan could have had a villa and a swimming pool. And by the way, the Hamas leadership did have villas, as all the IDF soldiers said when they went into Gaza, they saw these mansions. They could have had Singapore over there. That's not what they want. They want to kill infidels. That means Muslims who don't agree with them. That means Jews, Christians, and they're doing it all over the world. So we see that. And Trump can't get, I understand that he's a businessman. He can't get it through his head that there's such a thing as an religious ideology. That is what is governing Iran and has been since 1979. And you can't appease them with better, like with a higher salary or something. It doesn't work.
Well, we know that because we also tried that. We let Qatar take money into Gaza. We gave work permits to the Gazans. We thought that they were deterred because we were giving them work permits, letting money in. And again, that's the bottom line, that I think people don't understand that you see the world in a certain way with a certain framework, incentives, a better life for your children. But to extremists, that is not their goal.
Look at the only people the only country, the only, nationality that we really don't have a big problem with next to us is Jordan. Jordan is quiet.
Well, Jordan is quiet because the jihadists also threaten the monarchy.
And the monarchy keeps them at bay. They do the work themselves. They are an example of a country that actually wants quiet.
Yes, except that they let a lot of arms being smuggled into Judea, Samaria, that then it turned on our soldiers.
True. I'm not saying they're perfect, but I'm saying if you look at our border, that's our longest border, that's our longest neighbor.
True.
So maybe there's something to be thought about. What's working here?
We have a good relationship.
We give them a ton of water.
Although I just would like to say, Shoshana, and this is relevant to you especially, is that Queen Rania all along said women were not raped on October 7th, for example.
No, guys, I'm not thumping for Jordan. I'm just being practical. It's saying, if you look at the map.
Yes, ultimately, we can look at, Ruthie, you can also say that we just signed a 30-year gas agreement with Egypt. As you said, we have a water relationship with Jordan. And ultimately, a stable Israel is good for Jordan and Egypt, even though their rhetoric never changed, even though they're still spouting anti-Semitic Islamist crap about Israel because they want to keep their people at bay, which is a whole other problem.
And they did shoot down
the rhetoric, the reality,
missiles.
They did shoot down Iranian missiles, and it is in their interest for the jihadists to stay where they are and not move over. It's just to me, look, when I saw Jared Kushner's slideshow, I thought, I wish No, listen. And he's got in this Israeli business entrepreneur, Yakir Gabay, who's been working on this for a number of years. I wish no Israeli would love nothing more, every Israeli would love nothing more than a prosperous, peaceful Vegas in Gaza that we could all go for the weekend and pay less than what we pay for Israeli hotels. I promise you, the Israelis love traveling. Tons of Israelis go to Sinai the whole time, even that, not even safe. Israelis go to Egypt all the time. Of course, Israelis go to Petra in Jordan. Israelis love to travel. We want their prosperity. The problem is, do they want their prosperity? Do they want their own prosperity? No. Or is there something else at play here? And unfortunately, when you connect the dots, and I'm glad that you mentioned, Shoshana, I'm glad you mentioned the Kurds, because there's another massacre going on that the media is not talking about, of course, because the oppressor-oppressed dynamic is not quite right for the mainstream media, is that there's a massacre going on right now in northern Syria with the Kurds. Women are being killed and raped and killed. And nobody a word, and people are still justifying egging them on. Al-Shara is, they gave him a new beard cut so that he looks like Herzl, and they put him in a suit, and the guy has appointed ISIS people everywhere around Syria.
There are still Druze women that have not been returned.
Yeah.
There are 200, I think, something like Druze women and girls who were stolen months ago. Never heard of somebody
Go into a prison, right, where ISIS militia was being held. Release them.
Unbelievable.
Go ahead. Welcome back. So there's already a 2.0 that's at work. And to try to explain that to somebody else and saying they're literally taking women and little girls, not just raping them, completely going to actually keep them as sex slaves.
What Boko Haram does in Nigeria. It's the same thing.
And all that I feel it, the international women's movements all got stuck with bring back our girls back then. Everybody got stuck with holding up that sign saying bring back our girls, and that's it. Nothing's actually happened, and they're past that. No, nothing's happened.
They don't get the progressives. You want to get behind something? Get behind that.
But doesn't have to be Israel.
And you know, another problem is here. Trump says, oh, ISIS is bad. We have to take care of ISIS in Syria. Okay. Really? And what do you think Ashara is, or what it was and still is? I mean, he's the one letting them out of those ISIS out of the prisons. So you know, President Trump is very confused about the good guys and the bad guys, and he has fantasies about it. And you know, hopefully, a lot of times I think, okay. You know, people said you can't take Trump literally, you have to take him serious, right?
Yes.
And we've seen that happen many times.
Yes.
We've seen it, and thank God, up until now, it's mainly been for the good. So what we can say is, let's be a little patient here and see what develops. But what worries me, in addition to everything else about this day after the war in Gaza, is the Palestinian Authority. And the Palestinian, they say, you know what, we're going to have people there. We're going to give them arms, Palestinians who are not Hamas and not Fatah, and we're going to arm them to police Gaza. It sounds like Oslo. What, you're going to arm Palestinians who are not, and what exactly do you think they are?
The same people paying pensions to terrorists.
Exactly. And so, you know, this business of we're arming them, we've been there before. And all I think that means is that we're not done with this war. And by the way, if we're not careful, we're going to have another October 7th coming from Judea and Samaria, what people call the West Bank. Because there is massive terrorism going on there, weapons amassed, including attempts at tunnel building.
Yes.
So, you know.
Everywhere. The model is the same everywhere. People wake up. And on that note, we're going to make them wake up even more with our very popular segment, Scumbag of the Week. All right, ladies, wading scumbags every single week to find the best one for our wonderful, adoring audience. So, Bellamy, who is your scumbag this week?
My scumbag for this week is Hannah Ibama. Go ahead and take a look at what she had to say.
I have trouble with the term liberal Zionism because I think it absolves the identifier of reckoning with the necessary elements for the ideology to thrive. It is a settler colonialist ideology to create a Jewish majority in the land of Palestine And apartheid is the vehicle for that majority. And genocide, one of the great hypocrisies, right, of these Zionist leaders who say, you cannot create a distinction between Jews and Israel. You cannot. They are linked. A genocide is committed, and people start to be angry with and blame Jews, all Jews, which is wrong. And they go, you cannot blame Jews for the actions of Israel. Well, you just said that they were linked, so which is it?
Today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow, today will be today. It's the word salad.
She's such a moron.
Genocide, apartheid, fellow colonial state.
What
all
a moron spouting out just slogans she heard from one of those stupid protests.
I think it's sickening even more with the fact that she loves to wear the red hand pin everywhere she goes, literally turning her back on her own people. But now all of a sudden she's the victim because she's gone from being as a Jew, not in my name, but actually don't look at me because I'm just a Jew. Because guess what? A Jew is a Jew is a Jew, Hannah. They don't care.
I saw it and I couldn't even watch it. I couldn't even watch
this
it.
silly cow. I can't watch her. And I'm just praying that her career goes in the toilet of Hollywood history because people are just fed up with this sanctimonious. They're fed up.
Are they fed up with it? Well, let's hope so. I'll tell you one thing that drives me crazy. You see people like that who, you know, they get advanced degrees at illustrious universities in the United States. They are morons. They know nothing about history. They know nothing. And by the way, they also have bad grammar. You know, you know, these are also mothers, Ruthie. That bothers me. No.
Ebonics.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, she's a complete moron and she's doing a lot of damage. And look, ultimately, I do think, maybe I'm just wishful thinking, but I just feel people are getting a little fed up with this. There were less red pins this year.
Definitely less red pins. She was the trophy of the one that actually wore it at the Golden Globes. But at the same time, she's going to ride this right till the end, and it's already going to be too late. That's what she doesn't understand. You're going to ride the wave so far in a different direction, and then expect all of your pals who aren't Jews to be there for you, to help you out. No one's going to be there. That's the truth.
I'm praying you're correct. I'm praying that in the end, she finishes her little whatever show that she's got, and the next show, like with Mark Ruffalo, doesn't come. That's what I'm praying because that's what that silly woman deserves. Okay, Shoshana, who's your scumbag of the week?
I have a very classic scumbag this week. Very classic, just to remind people, because you don't see it in the news, that there are actually real monsters in the world, not just Israel and Jews. Putin is my scumbag of the week. I read the news as I do every morning, and I see a video of a drone taken by a Ukrainian resident, a civilian, and this drone is, and you see it's coming towards a residential block, and it's almost like Russian roulette, with, pardon the pun. You don't know where it's gonna land, you don't know who it's gonna hurt, and it slams right into the side of a residential building.
Yeah.
I don't know who was hurt, I don't know who was killed, and does anybody even care? Because if you don't see it, does it really happen? You know, I don't understand how Ukrainian babies are stolen and given to Russian families.
20,000 children
Nobody
are
cares.
missing.
It's like nobody cares.
20,000 children are missing.
It's beyond my comprehension. What? Why? Because their ways don't matter? What? Why? Why does it matter? Why doesn't it matter? Why does the Russian bombing of civilians? And by the way, my cousin is very involved in a Jewish orphanage in Odessa.
It was a work there.
It was a hit by a missile. Thank God it was only one person was harmed. They had taken the children out already a while ago. But that's an orphanage. An orphanage was hit by a Russian missile, and nobody says a word.
Nobody.
So y'all are my scumbags.
Absolutely. Putin is arming the Islamic Republic with drones and with all sorts of military hardware, and nobody says anything about that.
Also, I would like to just also praise the Ukrainian people for something.
Yeah.
With all that, those massive amounts of babies and children who are kidnapped and killed and held and all that, You do not hear the Ukrainian people taking to the streets and blaming their own government for that, the way Israelis did. Bring them home, as though Prime Minister Netanyahu was holding hostages in his basement. You do not hear Ukrainians complaining that Zelensky is holding those babies in his basement.
No, nobody's
So I would like to
complaining.
say that.
Nobody's complaining.
They're blaming the right culprit is what I'm saying, and that's Putin.
Well, exactly. I agree. And you're right, Ruthie. Thank you for always bringing up the Israeli left. When we had any discussion.
Can't help it.
No,
Can't help myself.
I find that many of the more extreme ones have got the same kind of brain fog that the progressives anywhere else around the world, and they don't seem to understand who the good guys and the bad guys are. Ruthie, who's your scumbag of the week?
Okay, this one is a boring one, but a necessary one, and that is so-called Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei.
Every week.
That's
Every
right.
week.
Yeah, listen, so we have recidivists all the time. What are you going to do? But he is the scumbag. Really doesn't do justice to his real evil. But it needs to be highlighted again and again. And he's also a coward.
Yeah.
Because he's hiding out in underground bunkers, and he and his people are putting their money. They're taking their money out of Iran and hiding it elsewhere. This is what we've been hearing reports of that as well. So he's a coward. He's slaughtering his own people. Although many Iranians would say, no, I'm sorry, we're not his people. But never mind. Anyway, so he's my scumbag this week.
Well,
and many
he is a very he's evil. He's Hitler. Really.
Yeah, he is. There's no question
He is
about it.
hiding in a bunker. I mean, he could do us all a favor and just kill himself like Hitler did, but he won't. And there were also images of his family getting out. I mean, these are real cowards. They will burn down their country if they're not ruling it. And that is what people don't realize.
There's been more sheets at Harrods if he was just gone. He's constantly living in Shmata. I mean, just go away already.
Yes,
People, look up the ones that truly believe in this regime, which makes me sick to see just how brainwashed they are of this messiah almost that is their leader. They're revolutionaries, they're anti-imperialists, they're everything else. How are things going for you lifestyle wise? Like, is this something that you really want to continue with?
But they live in a bubble. They live in a castle. They don't care.
Also, he doesn't care about Iran.
No,
the
he doesn't.
Ayatollah Khomeini, when he returned after 14, 15 years in exile in France, and he got off the plane, and American reporters were all there, that he's coming back for the revolution, asking him, how do you feel about being back in Iran? And he said, I feel nothing. Because he cared about Islam, not Iran.
They are Islamist colonizers of an ancient civilization of an ancient people.
About Iran.
They don't care about Iran. They don't care about Iranians. It's not them. So my scumbags, and I'm going to do a category, are the people that after Kushner presented the plan, the Palestinians and, of course, the moronic progressives, said they take one of these slides, they go out on Twitter and social media, and they're like, this is the worst thing that could happen. One guy called Moyad Harazan writes, this is the Gaza we want to return to. And he puts a picture of Gaza before October 7th, the Gaza that they were claiming was an open-air prison or a concentration camp. All of a sudden, it's not a concentration camp. All of a sudden, it's the Gaza that they built and no longer a sieged open-air prison, as they've been telling everyone for 2 years. Somebody actually was very funny on Twitter, said, it's a Schrodinger's Gaza. Is it this? Is it that? It's everything. Gaza was an open-air prison. Gaza was a concentration camp. Oh, now Gaza was a paradise that Israel destroyed. So he writes, we do not want a polished Gaza built by those who destroyed it. Don't worry, honey, we're not building it. We do not want a Gaza treated as land without people. Unfortunately, you're all still there. Or as an investment project for those whose hands are stained with the blood of our family. We do not want deception, false promises, or charity, really. You don't want charity. What have you been living off for the last 20 years? These people are actually deluded. They are liars. And when some decent prospect, I mean, whether we think or not that it's going to happen, whether we think or not it's got a chance, but you know
Nothing's
what?
good enough.
Kushner's got a vision. And the vision is a beautiful, prosperous seaside city where people could actually have a living, prosper, have a future for their children. But no, God forbid, we want Gaza in its simplicity. You mean terrorist hellhole. We want Gaza where we come from. Oh, I thought that you were living in an open-air prison. What do you want is my question. And this guy is accompanied by a whole bunch of progressives from the West saying this is the worst thing that could happen to Gaza. Really? The worst thing that could happen to Gaza is that it looks like maybe one of the cities that you're living in. You're hypocrites. The people in Gaza who are rejecting this a chance for something good to happen in their lives are hypocrites, are liars, and are terrorist supporters. They're all my scumbags this week.
I thought public housing was a good thing. I thought socialism was a good thing.
But
Schrodinger's Gaza.
all the GoFundMes that people have raised, the millions and millions.
They're being
They're
built.
all in Pakistan.
Exactly. But that's one of the sickest things that happened was seeing what's happening with the Kurds right now. And I said, the Kurdish people were on their side.
Yes.
And they had literally been standing up for Palestine this whole time. They've been talking about that. They raised money for them. So the whole dream of all these Pakistanis and everybody that's in the US, everywhere else, please help this child with 5 fingers. It's AI. You know, it's like, what 6 fingers? I mean, like, what's going on? Their dream would die. You would literally unplug their whole MO. This is their whole life.
The industry of...
Yes.
The grift would be up.
The grift, exactly. It's the industry of lies, of grifting, and of aid, which is broken, as you explain always to us about Africa. That would all come to an end.
And also, what about their claim that they're refugees? I mean, Israel withdrew from Gaza, right? And what they're saying is, no, we need to go back home. Also, they want to go back home to Israel. Which home? If Gaza's their home, and they don't want Jared Kushner to come in and give charity to help them with their home, is that your home?
Yeah.
I thought you said that wasn't your home.
I pointed that out once on a Piers Morgan show. I said, well, hang on a minute. Is it home? Are they refugees? Where is their home? Again, Schrodinger's Gaza, as somebody pointed out very cleverly on X. Okay, and now we will cleanse ourselves after that with heroes, because yes, there are many heroes. And honestly, I've got to say, I meet heroes every day here and abroad. I get messages from Iranians every single day who are doing heroic things. And so we always must highlight the positive in this world. Otherwise, we wouldn't get out of bed.
True.
Bellamy, who is your hero this week?
My hero this week is Piers Morgan. Ooh. Yes, that is giving me spolkus, just to say. And the reason is that he made this guy that I can't stand, Roger Waters, who's a klafter, completely derail with one question. Take a look.
You rail a lot about America and about Donald Trump, but you live in America, right? I mean, there's an inconsistency there. Why live somewhere if you hate it so much or hate the leaders so much? Why don't you act on a point of principle, get off your backside and go and live in Iran or Venezuela? Live under one of these regimes that you think aren't too bad.
I, to some extent, am a voice for the voiceless. And I get told this by the voiceless millions of times every year in responses to the activities that I engage in.
But I wouldn't call Nicolas Maduro
activism
I wouldn't call...
in support.
Nicolas Maduro is not the voiceless, and nor are Hamas, and nor the Iranian regime. Although it suits you to say, I only stand up for the voiceless, actually, it sounds to me like you like to stand up for terror groups and call them resistance. You like to stand up for dictators and say they're just massively misunderstood guys. You like to stand up for one of the world's worst regimes in Iran and pretend that the only reason people there are protesting is because of the economy, and that's because of sanctions put on it by other countries wrongly because they don't prop up any terror groups. So when I look at your worldview, I don't see a guy, with all due respect, Roger, who's standing up for the voiceless and powerless. I see somebody trying to prop up terrorists and powerful dictatorships and regimes.
Wow.
Now that is what I've been waiting for ages. And I give Piers a hard time all the time because
he deserves it.
But that one moment when, and the arrogance of Roger Waters. I'm a person that speaks up for the voiceless. Where? Like, you were speaking to a chair not so long ago.
Yes, the terrorist. Yeah, he's giving a voice. He's a PR for the terrorists. He is a washed-up old alcoholic who is just mean, but he should go to Iran. I would love to see him and Hannah Heinbinder, whatever, Mistress Feinbinder, whatever her name is, that idiot. They should all go to Iran, see how that works out. Excellent. You know what? We like to give people their dues.
Absolutely.
We've called him out when he's done, when he's given a platform to horrible haters. But I think it's very worthy of you to bring him up when he does something good. Thank you so much. Shoshana, who's your hero?
Okay, my heroes are the Sikh population that went into, you have to see this video, but don't show it yet because I want to talk first. There's something magnificent about seeing people stand up for their fellow sisters, brothers, people, whatever it is. They're, the pedophile grooming situation in England.
Yeah.
So these, a group of people, they've gone to the police did nothing. And they got together and they went to get out their sister from an apartment of the pedophile. You have to watch this video. Every time I see it, I'm like crying, I'm like chills. It is magnificent. This is how you do it. Show the video.
Come out, you pervert! Listen, mate, we're not here to cause a problem, yeah? We just want a word with you. Open the door, mate. We want to know why that girl at the age of 14 was groomed and then made to run away from home at the age of 16 by a man that's in his early 40s. I know you're there watching me at the door, my friend. Open the door. Mate, if I was you, I'd look out the window. There's over 200 of us there, mate. This problem ain't gonna go away. It's in your best bet, let that fucking girl go home, I'm telling you now, because you ain't gonna be able to show your face in public again. I promise you that.
inside? The gun is inside.
Do you understand what that guy is? He's a paedophile. He's a paedophile. There's been 2 other cases which involves him. You don't even know he's talking to other girls. I'm turning a blind eye to this. The parents have gone to the police many, many times and nothing is being done about this. Why is this allowed in 2026 in the UK?
We don't agree with grooming, manipulation, abuse. She will not convert. We are Sikhs and we're standing together.
We've come to get our niece, our daughter back. We're getting her back. But now we've got to make sure she doesn't come back. It's been going on for 9 years. He's been bringing young children, young girls, young boys going in and out of that flat. We can't let this carry on. Not in our communities, not in any community. We stand together united. Bully Sonia!
That's what I want to see on the streets of the UK all the time. That's what I'm talking about.
Did they get her out? What happened here?
I didn't get to follow up on the story like in other outlets because I was just watching this on repeat. But apparently this guy has been reported multiple times and everybody knows about it and nobody did shit. And they were like, well, then I guess we're getting in the streets. And that's what they went and did. So I want to follow up. I do think they took him and I do think they got her home. I think so, but I can't.
It's just almost incredible to believe, like that guy said, that this is happening in 2026 and the police are complicit. The way that we've seen them being complicit, they're just cowards. They're just cowards.
Disgusting. It's disgusting. But this type of like coming together, like this is what humanity is meant for, right? Not sitting in the streets screaming, intifada, intifada, but when someone's in danger, you go and you that's humanity.
But you know what the saddest thing is? That in these Islamist countries,
all the time.
This happens all the time. This is part
legally.
Legally, exactly. This happens legally all the time, and this is what they've imported into the UK.
And in the UK, it's not just that the police are turning a blind eye, it's the courts, that they have actually sort of unofficial, hopefully not official, but unofficial for sure, Sharia courts in Britain, where there have been Muslim women who have gone to the regular law enforcement in Britain saying, rescue me, or my husband is doing this, or domestic violence, and they say, take it to your religious court.
So basically, the court system in the UK is washing their hands off these women.
Exactly.
This great topic. They're in a Western country to be protected. Otherwise, they'd stay back where they were.
Exactly.
Oh, Lord, give us strength. Ruthie, who's your hero this week?
Okay, my hero this week, again, this could be a recidivist hero as far as I'm concerned, but this hero is more of an intellectual hero than someone brave actually in the streets. That's Mark Levin. And I'll tell you why I think he's been a hero.
Yeah.
Mark Levin is very, very supportive of President Trump.
Yes.
And but despite that, he never pulls any punches when he's critical of anything that the Trump administration is doing. And that does take bravery because he gets it from the left all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. But the fact that he is able to say Qatar is evil, Turkey is evil, why are they, Saudi Arabia, why is that part of it won't be part of the Abraham Accords. He said that this peace plan for Gaza, he is critical despite his utter support for President Trump. And to me, that's intellectual heroism.
I completely agree. He was my hero. I think it was last week or the week before, because of how also what a voice he's been for the Iranian people. You know, and the Iranian people are saying, thank you, Mark, for being our voice near the White House, you know, connected to the White House. So I think he's a fantastic hero. And you're right, he's just brave. And bravery is something which is in short supply these days, it turns out. And that goes very nicely with my hero, who I had the pleasure of meeting and interviewing only a few days ago, Gad Saad. Because Gad Saad is that guy in academia. He is literally a lone voice. He wrote his first book called The Parasitic Mind. He gave a lecture on that in Tel Aviv on last Thursday, and it's on JNS. Please come and watch it. And then I got to do a little Q&A with him. And now he's written another book called Suicidal Empathy. And he had to stop lecturing in his university in Canada, Concordia, because he had to go to class under armed guard. And it turns out Concordia didn't want to protect him very much. So now he's in Mississippi University. And the point is that he's saying what nobody is saying. And basically the theme of what we've been talking about in this episode, which is that the world is walking towards mass suicide because they're not actually seeing the problem of Islamist fundamentalism, which is a civilizational struggle, which is the major threat of civilization today. He talks specifically about the woke. In The Parasitic Mind, he talks specifically about the fact that the academic class, the professors, are the most cowardly people, and they are living in this bubble of moral relativism. There's no truth. There's no truth by them. There's no truth. Men can menstruate and, you know, and can have babies. And, you know, there's no such thing as the sun. Apparently, this professor told him that the sun could be a dancing hyena because there's no such thing. There's no objective truth. That is the world that he's had to fight against. And he's honestly one of the very few people that are still in that fight. His life is, you know, is under threat every single day. The hatred he gets is compounded by the fact that, of course, he's Jewish. So on top of all that, he gets Jewish hatred, apart from academic hatred and apart from the world going against him. And he's the only guy saying what's really happening, which is that everybody's marching off a cliff. And so I wanted to give him a shout out for coming to Israel. And I wanted to give him a shout out for his new book, which is now in pre-order. So go out there and order The Suicidal Empathy. And for being here in Israel and standing firmly with truth, because he understands that there's still such a thing as truth. So Gad Saad, who I had the pleasure of meeting, he's my hero this week.
Lovely. And I'll add to that. First of all, it's a great interview. And Gad Saad on social media, he said, I've been in Israel now, I don't know how many days, but he said, and he speaks fluent Arabic.
Yes.
He said, I spoke Arabic to my taxi driver. I spoke Arabic to someone in a store and a doctor because he heard his leg.
Yeah.
So he went to the doctor and he said, and the pharmacist spoke Arabic everywhere to Arabs in Israel. And he said that the idea that there's any problem with certainly not apartheid, but that Arab Israelis and Israelis get along just fine. Thank you very much. That there are these lies spread about it.
You should tell Hannah.
Yes. Well, maybe we should have God give a lecture to Hannah and her ilk. But yes, I mean, that's what we're doing here, everything. We're trying to expose the truth. And so we're very grateful for our wonderful audience. And with everything going on, we pray for the freedom of the people of Iran. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week.